the 49ers postgame injury report, Jordan Mason, shoulder. Like I said, he had that AC sprain, landed on it, then he was out for the remainder of the game. Kyle Shanahan did say that Jordan Mason came out of the locker room, but Isaac Rendo was doing so well that they didn't feel the need to switch him back in. I don't know if that was Isaac Rendo was so good, Jordan Mason doesn't have his job back, or if it was Jordan Mason is fighting through injury because Isaac Rendo was doing well, we weren't going to risk Jordan Mason. But he's obviously still struggling with that shoulder. Like I said, Dee Winter's linebacker. This sucks because head injuries are scary. He has a concussion, so I hope he's okay. He did go into the concussion protocol. We'll know more about that tomorrow. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel. He left during the fourth quarter, which I found interesting. Now, he did have pneumonia last game. He ended up leaving the game. He was hospitalized that night, stayed in the hospital the following day, then was released, played for, I think he participated in Thursday and Friday practice, if I'm not sure. He didn't participate in Wednesdays, I remember. Participated gleefully. Like, he actually had a lot of energy on Thursday and Friday's practice. And then in the beginning of this game, he felt like full of energy. I don't know if he got hit wrong or what happened, but he has a rib injury. So hopefully it's not too serious. Like I said, George Kittle is someone who's been struggling with injury, but he hasn't missed any games. So I don't know if that's obviously that maybe there's different severity levels for the ribs, but George Kittle has not missed any games with a rib injury. Deebo Samuel was pulled out of the game, but they were already winning, and it was the fourth quarter. Now this one sucks. Cornerback Renardo Green. Like I said, these rookies really showed up today, and I think a huge way that the 49ers are going to make a playoff run or even a Super Bowl run is if they do put a lot of faith in these rookies. Malik Mustafa, Isaac Rendo, Ricky Pearsall, who had a phenomenal game. Like, he got shot like 60 days ago in Times Square, and he did not anticipate on having such a large role. But with the loss of Christian McCaffrey and then last game, Brandon Ayuk going down for the year, Ricky not only had to come back, but had to come back and take on a big role. And we see how challenging that is, right? Like, Trent Williams missed training camp and stuff like that, and he was struggling in the beginning of the season. Same thing, Brandon Ayuk missed training camp with his contract deal, and he wasn't right in football shape right away. He was just getting into, I feel like, his top gear right before getting injured. Ricky Pearsall, he made a phenomenal catch. He's not like the fastest guy in the world, but he outran the linebacker that he had on him. Kyle Shanahan was going after, is it Eric Saubert? What is the linebacker for Dallas's name? It was the one that in the off season, if you remember, the 49ers signed, or they had like, maybe they were about to sign. They were like in a deal with the linebacker that ended up backing out of the deal with the 49ers and choosing to go to Dallas instead. Which, why would you ever choose to go to Dallas if you go to the 49ers? Does he not know that the 49ers crush Dallas every time? Like, no offense. I know the 49ers have been struggling, but I came into this week being like, the 49ers are going to win. Like, I'm surprised that they let it get close at the end, because the 49ers have Dallas and Mike McCarthy and Dak's number. So I don't know why you chose Dallas anyways, but I don't know why Kyle Shanahan wanted to have him on our team, because the 49ers, the way that Kyle Shanahan wins when he's playing well is he'll scheme up his offense to attack the weak linebacker, and he'll get a wide receiver on the weakest linebacker, and he'll get them one-on-one, and usually the 49ers wide receiver will win. A lot of times it's Deebo Samuel, or before Brandon Ayuk got injured, it was Brandon Ayuk. Well, today, a lot of those matchups were Ricky Pearsall, and Ricky just ran right by this dude. So touched by Ricky Pearsall. I know there was a video that the San Francisco Police Department put out earlier today of Ricky's father and his mom hugging the police officer who ended up saving, Ricky Pearsall's life and like being there and calming him down. So still an incredible story. I really think leaning on these young guys is what's going to catapult this 49ers team into a new dimension. I think coming into this year, you kind of assumed, okay, you have these older vets that they're the core, but they're not too old yet, and they're really going to be the make or break guys for us. That actually so far hasn't been the truth. What's happened is a lot of those guys, the leaders, are the ones that are making penalties. Kyle Juszczyk had a couple holds that called back. One of them called back a Deebo touchdown. Trent Williams, he's been great at protecting Brock Purdy, but he's had some, last game he was fighting, literally hitting guys. Same thing, George Kittle. Nick Bosa has gotten that offsides penalty 3 games in a row now. He had it twice last week. This week he only had it once, and he did have a good game overall. But I'm saying, like, a lot of these older established players are kind of making like rookie mistakes with the penalties, and the rookies who are hungry, they haven't been paid yet, and not even just the rookies but younger guys in general, because like Diamador and Lenore, Dee Winters, they're not rookies, but they're guys who haven't been paid yet, and you can just see the hunger in them, and I feel like they're playing so well. And Ricky Pearsall is one of those guys. I was really, really impressed by Ricky today. Let me read you Brock Purdy's final numbers, because like I said, I thought he struggled a little bit, but then he turned it around, and that's what matters. You know what I mean? What matters is, are you winning the game? Really quickly. So Isaac Rando at the very end of the game, once again, if you remember his first game action, he could have scored a touchdown, and he ends up sliding. I thought that it was to like drown out the clock more. This was 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly. Thought it was drown out the clock more. In the post game press conference, he ended up saying he thought people were yelling at him to slide. Deebo Samuel went and he was like, I don't know why he didn't score a touchdown, but they ended up giving the touchdown to Kyle Juszczyk. Well, this game, he has another opportunity at the very end of the game to score a touchdown, but Kyle Shanahan tells him, you got to slide, because we can't give the ball back to Dallas. We just need to spike it. So he slides. He finishes with 85 rushing yards. And like I said, he did that in one half because he wasn't really in the game for the first half. Do I have Brock Purdy's numbers? Maybe not. I'm going through I have my notes right here. 4-4 heading into the bye. The trade deadline is going to be in the bye. I think with this win, they should go out and I wish that they could get the guy from the Broncos. I know there's rumors about DeForest Buckner. I feel like they do need like a run stopper. Ezekiel Elliott is the first touchdown that happened was Dallas's running back, and Zeke hasn't hasn't scored a touchdown in God knows how long. So they really need some strength on that D line. Obviously, Nick Bosa is great, but the rest he's great at getting to the quarterback, but he can be targeted in the run if they run right past him because he's really focusing on getting the sack. And then even when he does create pressure, the rest of the line isn't always actually getting the sack. So I think they're really missing a guy on the opposite side of him. And if the Colts did end up wanting to be sellers because Anthony Richards sucked today, I don't know if they're going to go back to Joe Flacco, but the Colts don't feel like they're going anywhere. I wonder if they would be willing to trade DeForest Buckner back. But anyways, Brock Purdy's numbers to end of the night, because like I said, I thought he ended up doing great. Really a story of how to turn it around. And he ended up being 17 for 23 for 254 yards. So that's a lot of yards. He was throwing the ball. He had a quarterback rating of 124.2, which is crazy. And he was the 49ers leading rusher with his scrambling. Like I said, those scrambles really were so effective at the second half of the game. My closing thoughts on the Cowboys game, like I said, 30-24. George Kittle shined. You got to throw to George Kittle in the red zone. I tweeted about this. I feel like everyone who's a 49ers fan have been saying this for years. Like I said this last year. I said this earlier this year when they were struggling to score in the red zone. Get George Kittle the freaking ball in the red zone. He's a big body. He will catch the ball. He has a large radius. He can moss guys. Remember that was that against the Cardinals when he went up and caught the ball and he had like 3 guys around him. But George Kittle shined today on National Tight Ends Day. A little bit of a scare in the fourth quarter, but the D line, tightened it up when they needed to. Slash, I also felt like it was bad play calling on Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott's. But we can say that, at the very end, it wasn't pretty, but Christian McCaffrey and Dre Greenlaw are coming back. I think Deommodore Lenoir is playing at an all-pro level. By the way, it's great he played. If you guys heard my injury update right before the game, Deommodore Lenoir missed the last practice with an illness, and I was like super worried because not George Kittle, Deebo Samuel just had pneumonia. So I'm like, is there any way that Deommodore Lenoir got that? But luckily, he was able to play today. He's playing at an all-pro level. He shut down CeeDee Lamb. He's having, like, last year was Charvarius Ward's breakout year. This year, Ward's struggling a little bit. He had 2 really bad PI calls in that kind of defensive collapse that they had in the fourth quarter. He ended up going back out there and closed the game okay, but Deommodore Lenoir is the number 1 running back or number 1 cornerback this year. Fred Warner, I also felt like played wonderfully. Malik Mustafa, like I said, I wrote down baby Dre Greenlaw. Nick Bosa had an elite performance against Dak Prescott. They got tons of sacks. Those are my main takeaways. Juwan Jennings is someone I want to keep an eye out for. He missed this game with a hip injury. He also missed last game with a hip injury. There's so far been no talk of him going on IR. I guess maybe they think he's just going to heal up this bye week. But I want to keep my eyes out on him because normally, even if a player's injured, they'll be working out on the sidelines of practice. Juwan Jennings hasn't been out for practice. Like, the media hasn't seen him, which means he's like in the training room / in the rehab room. All we know is it's a hip injury, but we don't know when it happened, and we don't know the what caused it or how long it is or how severe it is because they've really underplayed it and there hasn't been a ton of questions about it. But hopefully, coming back against Tampa after the bye week, Juwan Jennings will be back. Eric Kendricks is the guy, not Eric Selbert. Eric Selbert's on our team. Whoops, he had a holding call too, though. But Eric Kendricks is the linebacker that Kyle Shanahan took advantage of, by the way, that almost came to the 49ers and then didn't. I think that is my main takeaways. Kyle Shanahan had praise for Isaac Rendo in his press conference. He said he's very, very, very coachable. He's poised for a rookie. I feel like he's gotten much better week after week. Regards to the sack that Brock Purdy took at the very end of the game, Kyle Shanahan said we had a can there, which is when Brock Purdy goes can. That's the way that we change plays. It's an audible. So he said that whatever Dallas was showing him, Brock Purdy thought that the right play call was to can it and end up throwing it. So maybe that's not all on. Like I said, I criticized Kyle Shanahan for that call, but apparently in his press conference, Kyle said that was actually something that Brock Purdy was doing. So those are my main takeaways from the game. For 1 second, I'll look at the comments. 49ers Throwback says, hit that like button, faithful. That's right. Please hit that like button. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. All these injury updates, I'm going to have much more information on tomorrow or whenever Kyle Shanahan talks next. They need to bring more pressure on 3rd and long, or at least move Nick Bosa around. Defense is vanilla. What's interesting to that is Nick Bosa has made it a point throughout his career to train both on the right and the left side. And he's said that he wants to continue to be mobile and he doesn't want to get like too fixated on one position. And for the most part in his rookie contract, he was doing that, but now he's been pretty stationary. I wonder why they've made that decision. Potentially Leonard Floyd, who's on the other side of him, doesn't have that mobility. And obviously, if you're going to switch Nick Bosa around, you have to switch the rest of them around. It'll be interesting to see what they do there because there is some problems there. Mr. Corey was the one that said that the Rams beat Minnesota on Thursday night, but I just wanted to say shout out to Mr. Corey because he's always in the chat. And Jose says, Grando not a true athlete in the backfield. Well, I don't know what you mean by not a true athlete. I mean, he's not strong and physical in the same way that Jordan Mason is. Like Jordan Mason will run through bodies, but that's something. I mean, that's a physical running back, but he is an athlete in the way that he's very fast. I don't know. Kind of depends on what you consider an athlete. Like obviously, one like just technically he's an athlete. He literally plays football for a living, but also he is like very athletic. He literally used to be. I mean, he's Kyle Shanahan's perfect type of guy. Kyle Shanahan loves Deebo Samuel because Deebo can be a wide receiver and a running back. He loves Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey can be a running back and a wide receiver. Isaac Rendo is the same thing. He literally played running back or literally played wide receiver until he switched to running back in college. Miguel says that he was hard on Purdy too. I was as well, but then I felt like he was coming on better. Let me read your comment. That's what I want to see from Brock Purdy. Start to be aware that he can run and create plays. That's an elite quarterback mentality. Today I've seen everything. He has everything to be elite. I agree. It's all about consistency, right? Because he's like shown flashes of it and really going into for the second half when I was kind of doomsday on Brock. It wasn't all on Brock. I was kind of thinking like, why with Kyle Shanahan do all these quarterbacks end up regressing? Like you see Matt Ryan, you see even Jimmy Garoppolo, and some of that could be Jimmy's work ethic. Maybe he was never as good as he was hyped up to be. Maybe it was the knee injury. But you really see, I mean, Trey Lance, like you see Brock or you see Kyle Shanahan work with these quarterbacks and their confidence start to dwindle. And I feel like Brock Purdy, I mean, what everyone was saying about him is he's like Mr. Irrelevant. He walks on the field like, I'm going to be your leader. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to execute the plays. I'm going to execute the system flawlessly. But when I see a guy far down the field open, I'm going to take the chance. Like, and I want my quarterback to have a little bit of that. Like, obviously, you don't want to you don't want to always be throwing into triple coverage and throwing interceptions and being a dumbass about it. But every once in a while, if it's Brandon Ayuk down there and he's one-on-one, and maybe the play call says to throw to Deebo Samuel in the flat, but you see that, maybe you can give your wide receiver Brandon Ayuk a chance wide open down the field. Brock Purdy last year was taking those chances, and every once in a while it turned out to be an interception or something. But 4 out of 5 times, it was a fucking touchdown or like a huge yardage play that wasn't dialed up. And it was exciting that a couple times a game, like for the most part, Brock Purdy was just executing the system. But a couple times a game, he would go off script and make the more challenging play that ended up being more rewarding. And I feel like you've seen him question himself a little bit more this year. And I don't know if that's Kyle Shanahan getting in his ear. I remember Nick Mullins in 2020, and obviously Nick Mullins had his own problems, but there was this one pass or touchdown they ended up throwing to George Kittle. And in the post-game press conference, Kyle Shanahan chewed Nick Mullins out for throwing a touchdown because he was like, the ball wasn't supposed to go there. The ball wasn't supposed to go there. So really, when I was being hard on Purdy, I was also thinking like, what's up with Kyle where these quarterbacks like start to become a shell of themselves? But like I said, they really turned it around in the second half, and winning cures all. Like if they, like I said, if they lost this game, I was going to say fire sale, stop, start selling certain guys. Like you're not going to win the Super Bowl this year anyways. But when you win, you give yourself an opportunity to get in the playoffs, in the dance. You're going to start getting less negative feedback. Mr. Fire Kyle, he's still not good enough. Some people are saying, okay, I mean, I'm not certain about them winning the Super Bowl, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not even certain about them getting back to the Super Bowl. I'm thinking cross your fingers that you get into the playoffs, try to be competitive then. I mean, like they were doing well in the third quarter, but you can't win playing one good quarter, and they almost lost this game in the fourth quarter. And if it was a better team, they would have lost it. And the Lions beat Dallas by 40 last week. And the Dallas never had a chance of coming back on them. And that was after they lost Aiden Hutchinson. And now they're going to be without Jameson Williams because he got PEDs, so he's going to miss a couple games. Although I think he will be back for the 49ers game. But I'm just saying, there's some tough teams. The Packers, I think Rams look better than they did because now they have Puka Nacua back and Cooper Kupp back. 49ers have to play them again. The Lions, Minnesota, I don't know. Maybe Minnesota's, going on the downward trajectory. I really think the Lions are going to be huge test for the 49ers in the regular season, and I'm scared to play them in the postseason, to be fair, right now. They're doing that thing the Niners did a couple of years ago where every team that plays the Lions the next week that they lose. Do you remember when the 49ers, that was their stat? Because their defense was so physical that when teams went against the 49ers, they'd be so beaten up the next week that they would have to lose because they'd just be exhausted from playing the Niners. Well, now the Niners defense doesn't do that to teams, and the Lions do. So, Mr. Corey says DJ Jones. That's the name I was looking for from the Broncos. Buckner, I think the Colts might be on sale because they're not going anywhere. So DeForest Buckner, good trade target, and then DJ Jones. The only problem is if the Broncos think that they could get into the playoffs, I don't think they'll want to sell. I don't think they'll be sellers. It'll be interesting. I definitely think some moves are going to happen this bye week. So, like I said, like and subscribe because even though they're not playing until Tampa, there's going to be a lot going on this week. The trade deadline is November 5th, but I imagine they're going to be watching tape all week this week, and they're going to have some guys probably before next Monday. Like they're going to treat this week as a week to get guys going because they have those bonus practices that I talked about next week. So all next week, it's not required for them to be there, but I bet anyone they're trading for, and like I said, maybe Chris McCaffrey and probably Brock Purdy, like some of the leaders, they're going to be there for practice. And then Mr. Corey says they need to trade Ward anyways. I mean, they're going to move off of him at the end of the year because they can't afford to pay him. But yeah, he definitely had a bad game. Bell does something stupid. I don't know why he's ever in the game. Dak being Dak helps out opponents and then laughing at $60 million a year. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying don't pay Brock Purdy because maybe I'm just saying let's wait. Let's let the whole season play out because you don't want to be the Cowboys because where are they going? They're never going anywhere. They're married to Dak Prescott, who's throwing multiple interceptions a game. Mike McCarthy doesn't know how to play call for shit. Yeah, not poor Dallas, who gives a damn, but Deebo downfield is healthier for him than the gimmick plays where he gets hit by 10 people at once. That's an interesting point because Deebo's constantly getting injured. Like I said, right now he has the rib injuries. I don't know why they don't do more down the field stuff with him. Like obviously he's not the fastest guy until he gets the ball in his hands, and then all of a sudden he can run from everyone. But there's no reason that Kyle can't scheme him open. Like I said, the one play where he got open wide the fuck open downfield this game was against Eric Hendrickson, which is the linebacker for Dallas, and then we covered CD in the first half with linebackers. In the fourth, we covered him with nobody. Why? I don't know what the hell the defense was doing at the end. Was anyone else sitting there like nervous that the 49ers were going to blow? Like I've seen the 49ers blow so many leads that I was like, there's no way they're going to lose to Dallas. There's no way. I was starting to have heart palpitations thinking about that loss. Luckily, they were up by so much that they didn't. But if they were up by 10, they would have lost. I mean, they had to have a 17-point lead in order to keep that win. 49er Poker also always in the chat. Six-man front is kryptonite for run zones. I agree. Okay, I think I'm getting tired. I've been talking for an hour. I told my dad I was going to just do a short little one, and then I ended up talking for so long. But I think that that's going to be it for right now. Let me see one more from from 49er Poker. Kittle slightly slowed down. He had that. Oh, showed that. Yes. In one of the interviews, I know, and he totally did that strategically, right? Because he didn't want to get fined. I think last year he got fined $16,000. Being an NFL player is wild. You wear the wrong like colored socks and they fine you like $10,000. But last year when he pulled out that F Dallas shirt, and it was in memorial or in he was paying homage to a former 49er player that also did that. I know a lot of people thought it was disrespectful because it had like a swear word on it. It's 49ers in Dallas have history, like it's nothing personal, but I mean it kind of is. They were chippy on the field too. But I love that George Kittle did that last year because I felt like I want this to matter to these players. I mean, players are constantly changing teams and stuff nowadays. Like, there's not that passion for your team that there used to be. And I felt like that was some shit that, like, back in the day, Steve Young would have thought was awesome. Like, he would have been like, "That's my freaking tight end, baby." Um, but yeah, in a game like the F Dallas shirt was blue, and so if you can imagine this, he's interviewing and his shirt's down like normal, and he kind of pulls it up. Hold on, kind of pulls it up a little bit, and you just see like just this part of the shirt, but it immediately flashed back. I don't think I can. I don't know how to record my screen. Something I should figure out to do on the bye week. But if you guys haven't seen it, just Google George Kittle F Dallas shirt. But you could see from the material that the F Dallas shirt was under his jersey, and he was thinking about doing it again, but he ended up not, which I don't blame him for, because like I said, huge fine. But I love that he was wearing it under there. And maybe also, I wonder if he would have done it if they would have just blown him out, like if they would have kept that 17-point lead. But maybe because the end of the game was a little shaky, he's like, okay, I don't want to flaunt. I feel like football players, they get superstitious. They're like, I don't want to talk too much shit. We won, but it wasn't a blowout. We should be happy about it. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you to Jesus, who's put a couple comments in the chat. My confidence in this defense is low. Pass rush an issue. Tackling was an issue in the first half, and then Conley got to make that catch. I mean, Conley is one of those guys who's like a fill-in guy. I don't assume that he's going to make every single pass just because. Not, I mean, obviously you should, but just because he's not the main guy, it's hard when you're working with backups. Although you get paid, you got to do what you got to do. The new kicker got was very good on a windy, chilly night at Levi's. I know. I was actually surprised, and I was looking at the kickoffs too, because they said that's more of his struggle was not only his rookie year, which was last year against not against the Packers, with the Packers, he was missing kicks, but also he wasn't kicking it very far. He kicked it pretty far downfield. Not as far as maybe not into the end zone, but he kicked it far enough to have Dallas starting at the end of the field, and then made every single one of his extra points and every single one of his field goals. So pressure was high versus, Sunday Night Football versus the Cowboys, two historic franchises, and he kills it. Way to go him. I'm glad he's getting an extra opportunity. I feel like for these kickers, it's hard. You get out. He literally played 1 year, didn't do well, and then was on the couch. So good on him for doing well. Maybe this gives him an opportunity. Jake Moody's also probably going to be healed up at some point after the bye week. Even if this guy continues to make all his kicks, they're going to go back to Jake Moody because they spent a freaking third-round pick on him. But the good thing for this guy is maybe another team will end up picking him up if he continues to do well. So, anyways, those are the updates for now. Like I said, more injury updates probably to come. A lot of these guys getting MRIs, extra tests that happen tonight/tomorrow morning, and then we get updates after. I'll be bringing those to you. Maybe I'll break down some more of the first half, second half, and different takeaways. I know Tom Jensen, who I go live with, he writes for Sports Illustrated. He put out an article post-game, so if you guys want to check out him on Twitter, go ahead and do that. But if not, and you want to just wait for the show, like and subscribe. We'll be going live on Tuesday. I think I'm going live with Marco tomorrow from Clutch Gene Sports. So please give me a like and subscribe. So glad that they freaking beat Dallas. And if you guys did, hear that beginning part, once again, I hope that I didn't offend anyone. I really appreciate you guys letting me say that. I in my head a little bit about it. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it was just heavy on my mind and I needed to get it out before I could talk about football. So I appreciate all you guys. Everyone's welcome here. Thank you so much. Please give me a like and subscribe, comment if you want. And I'll be going live tomorrow. So tune in. Thank you guys. Bye. And also, bye, Daddy. I love you. I know you're watching.